This is the scene in Ann Arbor right now. Jim Harbaugh's weekly news conference set to begin any minute. As soon as the Michigan coach steps to the podium, we will take you there live here on the Big Ten Network. In the meantime, we welcome you in. It is Big Ten Today, the Monday Schmooze, presented by Gatorade. Dave Revson, Nicole Auerbach, Howard Griffith, certainly anxious to hear what Jim Harbaugh has to say, and his team delivered in a big way on Saturday. They were really good against Penn State, even without him on the sideline.
Yeah, that was obviously the biggest win that they've had all season. They stepped up to the moment, and we saw how emotional it was for them afterwards. So I imagine that we'll get the other side of it from Jim Harbaugh today.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to hear some of his comments, what he has to say. But as you mentioned, you talked about the game. I really thought Michigan played a complete game for what they needed to do. As far as the game plan was for Penn State, they were able to execute it and come away with a huge win.
Yeah, it was awfully impressive. I mean, when you do not throw a single pass in the second half, Howard. Now, it is fair to point out they called one pass play. There was pass interference, though.
So it doesn't count.
So it got negated. But man,
we'll get back to that, Dave. I'm sure we will.
And it had to warm the hearts of people who love the run game, Jim Harbaugh among them. Let's get to our big story, and it is Harbaugh at the podium in Ann Arbor. Let's send you out there now.
I can start, yeah. So I'm not going to make any comments. And 99 wins, chance for 1,000 this Saturday. It's in our wildest dreams. That's what we hoped for. That's what we worked for, was that we'd have a chance to play in our 11th game this season. A chance to get that 1,000, and just really want to shout out the Green Bay Packers, most wins in NFL history, 793, the most wins in high school football. Valdosta, Georgia, 951, and the Michigan Wolverines, 999. No one has won more. Nobody. And I want to thank especially everyone who has put on the winged helmet, all those that have contributed and those that have supported their efforts and their and the current support. As I mentioned before, it's monumental. It motivates us to find extra work to do, keep a one-track mind, and get keener, finer, and more alert. Get the job done. Very proud of our football team.
We're going to start on the left with Chris.
You talk about your reaction when you saw Kenneth Grant run down a running back, and then with Rayshon Benny's two big plays.
Kenneth Grant running down a running back in that game. I mean, I was up off my feet. It was one of the best plays of the season. That play by Kenneth Grant, maybe one of the best plays ever. Compared to play Justin Smith made against the Eagles, my first year coaching at the 49ers. It was a guardian of victory type of play. Kenneth was dominant in the game. He was the real tone setter. Right from the first series. He's playing great, only a sophomore, tremendous. Rayshon Benny played like 14 snaps in the game, but had a great effect on the game. Tackle for a loss, big, and the caused fumble that Makari Page jumped on. It was a great job by our football team. We capitalized on their mistakes, jumped on them, and then really, there's another game where we don't turn the ball over. I don't know what our record is now since 2015, but we don't turn the ball over. It's undefeated, and it's probably close to 50-0 when we don't turn the ball over. So, great job. And there's so many opportunities, but just holding on to the ball. Blake Corum, incredible game. Jake Thaw. I mean, there were some punts. He made every right decision back there as a punt returner. returned some, fair caught some, but over the shoulder, I was really happy with the way the guys were so locked in and took care of the football like, guardians of victory that they are.
On the left there, Tony.
Yeah, Jim, you've already talked about enthusiasm unknown to mankind. I wonder, and your team this week talked about this galvanizing them, bringing them together. I wonder, can you tell us just sort of how you feel? Have you ever felt this enthusiastic, or what are your emotions?
Just really proud. I know I said it first team meeting, and I know I talked about it here. Moses had 90 leaders. How many do we need? Answer was, we need more than 90, and we've got that. We've got a team full of leaders, future leaders, that have already been galvanized. I mean, they're really already on a mission. The mission last year was a happy mission. This year has been even more than the wins. It's a mission of faith. It's a mission of speaking truth to power. It's a mission of playing for each other as a band of brothers. It's a mission, and I see our guys, and they're strong. They're walking upright and innocent, and just taking care of business. The one-track mind. I'm so thankful for that our team has been. That's resonated so much. Just wake up, take care of business, go to sleep, wake up the next day, take care of business again.
On the left, Rod.
Yeah, Coach, can you talk a little bit about specifically where you watched the game, your reactions during the game? It sounds like you're raspy, but the next question is your level of frustration with not being able to be on the sideline.
Yeah, I don't know what I have. Some kind of virus or something. Trainer told me, but I'm not sick. Feel great. Got a tremendous workout in today. Thank you, Coach Sean Lockwood, for that. I'm the iron wall that viruses bash against and shatter. But yeah, something's going on there. But just work it out, get it worked out, work it out of the system, do some more push-ups, eat an apple.
Connor.
Jim, if you're not able to coach the next 2 games, do you have a plan as to who's going to be the acting head coach?
Sharon Moore. Yeah, that's as I said. I mean, it's got a lot of leaders. Some people scoff at some of the things I said. I think I said it way back in April. I mean, I had 10 coaches that'll be future head coaches. I think I made the statement. I think 4 would be head coaches after this year, and Sharon is, he's the best of the best. His toughness, mental toughness, physical toughness, and there's nobody that doubts Sharon Moore and his dedication, his connection, his commitment to the team. So that's my pick.
Can you share what your range of emotions were Saturday?
I mean, the kind of game that I just put up there with all the games. The top ones. I mean, every single win. It's like one of your own children. I mean, you love them all. But boy, I guess there's some that just so proud of. And that's one of the top 5 at least. Felt so good about that. Just and watching it from where I was watching, I was like, how could you not see this? These players. I mean, Blake Corum with the nose bloodied, and the emotion of the team, the perseverance, and then the stalwartness of these guys. I mean, yeah, watching, I would have to say, I mean, everybody. It's got to be America's team. It's got to be America's team. America loves a team that beats the odds, beats the adversity, overcomes what the naysayers and critics, so-called experts think. That's my favorite kind of team. And yeah, watching it from that view on the television, it was finally people get to see what I see every day, in these players and these coaches.
Back right, Ed.
Jim, decision aside, what did you think about being informed by Big Ten on Friday afternoon?
I'm going to talk on Friday. Just looking for that opportunity. Due process. Not looking for special treatment. Not looking for a popularity contest. Just looking for the merit of what the case is. I senior in high school, I had a civics class, and talked about government, justice, and what I took away from that class was that you're innocent until proven guilty. That was 40 years ago, but like that opportunity.
Back right, Reiner.
Jim, as you and the school and the Big Ten go back and forth here, are you worried about the long-term impact this will have on Michigan's relationship with the conference?
I'm going to save all my comments for the actual in court. Like I said, I'm not going to talk much about the what's going on, and have an opportunity on Friday to do that.
Ryan.
Jim, what does it say about your guys' defense on Saturday that Penn State fired its offensive coordinator basically right after the game?
I don't know about that. Not something that fellow coach, not something we take any kind of pleasure in. But our team, you saw a galvanized team that took the field, blocked out noise outside the stadium, inside the stadium, and played for each other, and played a great game, and decisive game, both offensively, defensively, and on special teams, and just showed their mettle. Stuff I knew they were stalwarts, but they've been questioned, that this, that, or the other thing, or they hadn't played anybody, and watch them go do it. So proud of every leader, so proud of the way they prepared, and so proud of the way they played.
Charlie.
Jim, a few weeks ago you mentioned you had all these plans should you get to 1,000 wins. Have you finalized any of those plans? And if you are unable to be on the sidelines, is that going to be a point of frustration for you not being there for the 1,000th win?
Yeah, I think you don't really get me too much. I don't think anybody really does, but whatever the emotion is, whether it's name an emotion, frustration, anger, happiness, whatever it is, I just go find work to do. I just go to work. That's I find something extra to do, and when I do that, then I find that it clears my mind, cleanses my soul, and a lot of times, the perfect thing comes to you, what to do, how to do it. Not every time, but a lot of the time. And then when you're done, you've accomplished something. You got something done. You maybe made money, saved money, and avoid some making the problem worse. So, yeah, dress, work, and keep on rolling. I always use the analogy with others to try to put it in a frame of reference is there's Sarah doesn't like when I talk about her. She does not like this, so I apologize to Sarah before I say this, but now she'll get mad at me and get after me. Sometimes I get angry, and I got two options. I can come back and fire back, and I'll show her who's boss, or I can turn right around, go out, feed the chickens, clean out the coop, cut the lawn, edge it, work for hours till that it always is the better resolution, and it's just how I treat things, since I was real young, and it's been productive, been highly productive, the things that get accomplished from that work.
Do you really have chickens, or is that just an analogy?
I do have chickens. I have chickens. Yeah, we have chickens. That was COVID year, 2020. Yeah, Easter. Went to the Tractor Supply, and that's before I think they even shut things down. But went to Tractor Supply, got the chickens, brought them home for Easter, and just little chicks, your kids, and they loved them. They loved those chickens for about a week. The chicks, and then the chicks became teenager chickens, and then became adult chickens, all hens, egg layers. Yeah, I'm the one who takes care of them, and the respect that I have for chickens. I know there was a time when I said that chicken is a nervous bird, and I don't eat chicken, I only eat meat, but I was dead wrong. I stand corrected. These chickens are low maintenance and high production. I mean, they lay an egg every 26, 27 hours, and they need water, they need food, and then I play with them too. I let them out in the yard, and we run around, and they're happy to see me. They're happy to see me. There's times when I'm doing good things for other people, and they're not as happy to see me as my chickens are. So it's good. It's good for my mental health as well, and get fresh eggs every day.
On the left, John.
Highly productive. Highly productive.
You mentioned Blake letting up in the face afterwards. He said he was always taught that you respond to adversity by keep fighting, keep punching. Is that the message to this team at this point, to keep proving it's good, it's winning because it's just a good team?
Yeah, all those things. It's the connectivity of the team. It's the commitment from the guys. This goes back to every winter workout cycle when the guys are lifting the weights and running the wind sprints, and moves into spring practice and then the summer cycle. Our guys are so connected and committed, pushing each other. Then we get into training camp, teams forged, really forged there, and captains are picked, and then we go play the game. But that connection, that commitment is already been forged, and even before that, it's what they've seen older players do, that they were trying to watch and emulate, and then try to go make them proud. And even before that, it's what their parents instilled into them, poured into them, the discipline, the work ethic. You could bet James Corum poured that into Blake Corum when Blake was out working in the yard and tending to some of their animals. And no coincidence, he's up what time the great ones get up. He's up around 4:35 in the morning, and he's working by 6. Still doing that to this day. So all those things, it's just all part of the stew.
Got time for about 4 more questions. We got Dan, Austin, John, and then Angelique. just wanted to clarify, when you say speak on Friday, you're going to speak at the hearing and state your case in front of the judge? Is that what you mean?
I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly how it's going to go. I'm going to be able to go, though. I don't know if I'm going to be. That's not my dance floor, you know. I'm not an attorney. Always wanted to be. You know, watched a lot of shows. Watched Judge Judy, you know, a lot. But always kind of felt like it'd be cool to get up there and thunder away at a jury like Tom Cruise and A Few Good Men, or be a judge like Judge Judy. But alas, I did not go to law school. So this will be the first time I've ever really been in this situation. So was a court reporter for KB one time, but yeah, first time being kind of in there, not right there instead of just watching.
How do you balance preparing for that and getting the team ready for Saturday?
Oh, it'd be a one-track mind. Getting ready for Saturday, getting ready for the game, coaching the team, getting them prepared up. So I didn't get any thought about, I guess we'll let the judge decide,
Austin?
Jim, you were talking about emotions earlier. Sharon was obviously emotional after the game. Did you see that live as post-game interview?
Yeah.
What was your reaction?
I was like 5 inches from the TV to watch that. I mean, it was beautiful, I'll remember that too. I mean, and I said I'll remember Grace's letter till they throw dirt over top of me, but I'm gonna remember what Sharon said too, and Blake and all the players. And I already know. It's like you already know. I know how he feels. I know how the players feel. They know how I feel. But yeah, it meant a lot. Means a lot. Much appreciated.
On the right, John?
Jim, you touched upon this a little bit earlier, but when you see the ball get run again and again and again 30 straight times, what's your reaction to that when it's kind of a callback to football of days past?
Yeah, I think it was necessary. I mean, really in our wins against Penn State, whether it was in 21, when Hassan Haskins carried the load. Last year we rushed for over 400 yards, and then this year 230 and some change. Just what we felt necessary, offsets what Penn State really wants to do defensively, and makes them play not the kind of game they really desire to play. What's best for us?
Last question in the back, Angelique.
Jim, I just wanted to clarify, how were you informed on Friday about the decision?
Just somebody showed me their phone.
So via social media, or the Big Ten contacted you?
Via social media, via social media.
Did you expect to hear from the Big Ten, though? I mean, did that catch you off guard that you're reading about it on social media?
Ward was pretty upset. He was on the plane too, and he was pretty upset that he heard it through social media and not through the office, Big Ten office.
What did you think of Ward's statement that came out on Saturday?
Oh, tremendous support. Ward has been, 10 toes down. He's standing right here with us. His support, the president, Ono's support, the Board of Regents, and I said our fan base our team is already galvanized. I mean, they're already connected. They're together. But boy, I'm feeling a galvanized Michigan, university, alumni network, and all the alums, largest living alumni body in the world for any school, and the fan base, which goes coast to coast and worldwide, really being galvanized. And that's a tremendous thing. That's a monumental thing when you think about it. Everybody fighting like the team we're supposed to be, man, that's gonna be tough to beat.
Who showed you the screen?
I don't know, it kind of came over my shoulder.
All right, thank you all. Bring up players here in just a minute. Thank you.
Back on Big Ten today, the big story on the field Saturday, Michigan's 24-15 win over Penn State. The Wolverines' 6th straight win over ranked Big Ten foes. They ran for 227 yards against what was the nation's #1 rush D. Did not throw a pass in the second half. With the loss, the Nittany Lions fell to 1-22 against AP top 5 foes this century. Dave Remsen back with Nicole Auerbach and Howard Griffith. We'll talk about the game in a moment. I think we need to reflect on the 25 minutes of press conference gold we were just handed, though, by Jim Harbaugh. What did you take away from listening to the Michigan coach?
Well, I'm going to go back and listen to the chicken conversation again because, in case I ever want to get chicks someday. But no, I thought, one thing that has become very clear, we saw this from Sharon Moore's reaction, from the players' reaction, is that they do feel very united. They feel very much like, that they don't appreciate how they found out about Jim Harbaugh's suspension and a lot of the other outside elements to this, but they're very committed to each other, and I think we saw that on the field and we saw that in the postgame.
I keep going back to a couple of years ago when they started this run. In talking to some of the players and the coaches, they always talked about how they are doing this for one another and how galvanized this team has been. And it continues to show through the coaches, through the players, the way they play the game, the way Coach Harbaugh approached this news conference today. It's really just about this team.
Well, and, for him to say it's one of his favorite wins at Michigan when he wasn't even on the sideline, I thought that was pretty notable.
Yeah, the genuineness of the emotion that we saw on Saturday and that we saw from him, or at least saw him allude to today, I think does speak volumes about how much this team cares about one another. They're also really good. Man, they played well on Saturday. We started to talk about before we went to the news conference. 30 straight running plays, Howard. That must have made you smile as a former running back.
I'll tell you this, though, too, because kind of the national perspective about this is that they're being beat up because they didn't throw the football. In JJ's numbers, they're being beat up nationally about all they did was run the football. That's all they wanted to do.
That's all they needed to do.
They wanted to control the game, and they wanted to really dominate at the line of scrimmage, which they weren't able to do earlier in that game. Penn State was giving them all they had, but they went back to it. And think about that. You just control the game by running the football. You don't see that in modern-day college football the way they did it.
It's very similar to the way that we've seen them win games the last 2 years, but this year felt different. We were seeing a lot more in the passing game, a lot of different weapons. JJ was taking a big step. So I think for them to rely on the run game and actually get explosive runs, 4 plays, more than 20 yards on the ground, we hadn't seen that this season either. So I think being able to show that they can win a game like that is going to be big for them, Ohio State around the corner.
Right.
Defense was great, too. Penn State did score a touchdown toward the end. I think the final score may be somewhat deceptive in that sense. Just this was a game that Michigan certainly controlled throughout the second half. What do we make of the defensive effort and the way it shut down Penn State?
One of the things we've seen with this team is when they go into the second half, even if you're able to make some plays early, they start to shut you down. They make what adjustments they need to on the sideline at halftime, and they just take things away from you. And they made it so tough for Penn State really to get something going offensively. And this is a defense that's been just as consistent as they can be this entire year, continuing to raise their level of play each and every week.
Yeah, that third quarter stat, right? These were the 2 defenses that hadn't given up a point in the third quarter. Michigan now the only team that has it. They really are suffocating. The boa constrictor, all of these parallels. And that's true, though, because they do make it harder. The more you go into the game, they are going to make life difficult. And it was difficult for Drew Aller and for this offense. And we saw it in Penn State's decisions to try to go for things, to try to keep the game alive. But it was hard. It was a hard defense for Drew Aller and this offense to try to move on.
10 games Michigan has played, they've allowed 75 points. It is a remarkable defense this year. Part of the reason they remain undefeated, it also caused Penn State so many problems that they announced yesterday they had dismissed offensive coordinator Mike Yurcich. Penn State had 238 yards of offense Saturday, had only 1 play longer than 20 yards. Explosion's been an issue all year. They have 2 plays of 40 yards or longer this year. And so they move on and move away from Mike Yurcich. This game was really a carbon copy, unfortunately for them, Howard, of the game against Ohio State. 240 yards, 238 yards. This is kind of what it is for Penn State against the elite opponents What do you think of what we saw from the Nittany Lions and the decision that James Franklin made yesterday?
Well, I think ultimately we only need to go back maybe a month when it was clear that Coach Franklin and Coach Yurcich were not on the same page. When the question was brought up, shouldn't you just throw it vertically down the field to see if some things can open up? Coach Yurcich answered the question one way, but that's not the way Coach Franklin saw it. So you could see that there was a difference in what both men wanted to do offensively, but this is something that they have struggled with the entire year, and this offense has just not looked like what we expected to look like. We thought they had the best offensive line that they've had in years. We knew it was no question what type of backfield they had. And then you talk about, yes, we thought that this wide receiver group would come alive. It probably hasn't played nearly where we thought they were when we saw them in the summer, but they have not been able to get on track the entire year.
No, and you're coming into this game off of Drew Aller's best performance that we've had all season, and then for it to just be such a dud and to really struggle against these defenses, which, by the way, Michigan and Ohio State's defenses are not going to suddenly regress. Now you're also adding all these West Coast teams into the conference. It's going to be more and more challenging for Penn State, and I think this move was, hey, 10-2 with losses to Michigan and Ohio State every year is not acceptable, and we need to fix the offense so that they can hang in those games because our defense is doing enough to win them.
Defense is really good, although, as we said, Michigan kind of ran them over. But
they're going to have some issues
just haven't
sometimes.
totally figured out offense during James Franklin's time in State College. It is. At Joe Moorhead, I think those were the best offenses when they had him there. Need to try to recapture some of that, perhaps. Who knows? I'm a head coach now, but you don't rule anything out. But clearly, circling the wagons a little bit, try to figure out what the approach is in what is otherwise a really good program. I mean, when they're not playing Michigan or Ohio State, they're great. The issue is beating those two. Our big stat is brought to you by Gatorade. Marvin Harrison Jr. outstanding once again on Saturday night. 149 receiving yards against Michigan State, 2 TD grabs, ran for a touchdown as well. His 14th 100-yard receiving game as a Buckeye. That ties him for the most ever with David Boston. Nicole, you were there to witness this in person. Ohio State certainly looked the part of the nation's #1 team.
They have gotten so much better as the season's gone on, and they finally got healthy. But Marvin Harrison Jr. did basically his whole day of work in like the first 16 minutes of that game. He was everywhere. And I think as we're seeing some quarterbacks in other places go through the ups and downs of the season, you could certainly make the case that this has been the best player in the country from start to finish when he's been healthy. And he's showing that, and he's getting the stats. He has these moments. We're watching them all. And so he's going to be a factor there, and I think he should be in New York. But I'll also say that just they're a complete team now. The way this offense is working, pass, run, Kyle McCord's growth, and a great defense, like they're really coming together at the right time.
Yeah, it was a time we were waiting this season for, okay, has this defense really taken the next step? They haven't been giving up those big plays. Now all of a sudden they're really getting to the passer and causing problems, getting the opposing quarterback uncomfortable defensively, so they've been there. Watching McCord through this process has really been fun because he keeps getting better each and every week, and I think that's an important part of trying to develop players. And it's always hard because there's always more on the plate of the quarterback. He's going to get most of the blame, and then he'll get too much of the praise. But he has just continued to get better. It really helped to have Stover back in the offense as well. That opened up the middle of the field. With Henderson healthy 100%, this defense playing the way they're playing, this is going to be a tough out. This is a really good football team.
No doubt. They get Minnesota at home this week, and then obviously the huge showdown against Michigan. Let's talk a little bit about Iowa. How about the Hawkeyes? More than 400 yards of offense. I mean, in all seriousness, they really looked good offensively in the second half. Deacon Hill, I mean, almost looked like a different quarterback, frankly, against what is a pretty good defense in Rutgers, Howard.
Oh, it's no doubt. This is a defense that we thought it would be difficult for them to be able to move the ball against this defense. And Iowa does what they do. They find a way to make things happen. And then offensively, what you just talked about, Dave, is remarkable. Got some other people who hadn't been as involved in the offense involved, and things started to turn for them.
Yeah, I think that was what was really impressive. I mean, it wasn't the run game, or it wasn't one big play that we have seen Deacon Hill hit. It was consistency. And they were actually able to sustain drives and move the ball, and I think it's incredibly encouraging. You know, again, we're talking about teams that are getting better. even despite injuries or getting healthier, figure things out. That's what Iowa's doing right now.
This is a situation where, from an offensive standpoint, right, you've relieved your offensive coordinators of his duties for next year.
Yeah.
But guys are still playing. He's still coaching. Says a lot about what's going on in that locker room.
Offensive line is looking better and better with each passing week. I think that's been a huge difference here, is that they finally have that group that I think we believed could be pretty good when we saw them in camp.
And they've had moments.
Yeah.
Or
sure.
games, I should say.
First time in 32 games they've gone over 400 yards of offense. Maryland and Nebraska, a bit of a turnover fest, but ultimately the Terps get that elusive bowl bid.
There are a lot of teams here where we just say every week, if they just don't turn the ball over, they'll have a chance to win. But Nebraska has gotten to this point on the precipice of a bowl with all of the turnovers, leading the nation in turnovers, and it's cost them. It's caught up to them in some of these moments, including this game, where Maryland was also making mistakes. So this really was about who could just make a few less mistakes than the other team, but this was huge for Maryland. They hadn't won a game since September. They needed this. They needed this to get off the back of their
And you can see just how emotional this game was for them, the way the team was flying around after the game. But it is so... When we talk about, we make fun sometimes of talking about the football as the program, because you just can't turn it over. And we're in the green room watching this game, and it's like, okay, when's it going to happen? Come on, just don't turn it over. And the ball gets turned over, and you see exactly what happens. And they're coaching from the front of the room. If we just don't do this, we can get this. But it's, for whatever reason, it's not working out for them.
Certainly not working out for Nebraska, and it's been an issue, as we know, for many years. But as you said, now the most turnovers in the country. They had 3 different quarterbacks come in, each one of them threw an interception. We'll see whether Heinrich Haarberg's good to go coming up this week as they head to Wisconsin. Iowa's taking control in the Big Ten West. They clinch a spot in Indy with their next win. After that, I'd say it's pretty even. Northwestern, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, all 5-5 overall and 3-4 in conference play. And that is thanks to some surprising results. Let's start with Northwestern. Went into Camp Randall. They scored touchdowns on each of their first 3 possessions, were really never threatened in a win over Wisconsin. What did you take from that one? Ben
Bryant, back and effective right away, like you said. I thought that was really impressive coming off. He missed, 4 games?
He did, he had not played since the Penn State game, end of September.
So, to go right into the game, right into this offense and accomplish what he did, really impressive. And I just remain really impressed by the fight in this team. They play so hard, and they have gotten better as the season's gone on. They've dealt with injuries. But, you see it in the way that David Braun talks about this team, how much he cares, how hard those players are playing for him.
Trying to prove everyone wrong, right? Trying to say that we're still together and we're going to go out and battle, and they've done that. But you look at the Badgers and and I know Coach Fickell's going to say it's not about the injuries. He's not going to, have any excuses. But when you just have had so many injuries to a roster that you're already adapting your system, you don't have your system in. You're adapting the system to these players, and not to be able to get the results and play the way they've been playing the last couple of weeks is a little frustrating.
Did get Tanner Mordecai back for this one. I mean, in fairness, the team across the field played without its starting quarterback for 4 games and won 2 of them. Braylon Allen played very sparingly in the game. It's obvious he's not 100%. He is the centerpiece of this Wisconsin offense. So it's a pretty significant blow, no doubt, not to have them. The legend of John Paddock continues to grow.
I love this. I love this guy.
507 passing yards. Yeah. They had 662 yards of offense. Even the great Howard Griffith teams were not able to accomplish that. Ties for the most ever in a conference game for Illinois, going back to the early 80s, the only other time they did it. It's a remarkable story.
It really is. And I think you have to go back 2 weeks, right, to when he first came in and was forced into play. These weren't dump passes going back to the previous games. These were pinpoint accurate passes that he needed to make. And now you see him come in and play a complete game, and just to distribute the ball the way he did, get the run game going, defensively playing so much better. But Paddock is, without a doubt, the story of this team right now.
Yeah, he's been incredible. 2 game-winning drives and whatever the end of the game. Like, they win these games because of him.
Yeah.
Now 2 weeks in a row, and it's remarkable, and I love it. It's a great story. It's so unexpected. Really, we talked about, hey, is Illinois going to turn the corner at some point this season? Yeah. Who knew? John Paddock, the key to that.
It really is a remarkable story. And now if Luke Altmaier is healthy, one wonders what you do with the quarterback spot when you take on Iowa this week. Brett Bielema kind of framed it in. It's a nice problem to have, but it is a problem.
It's a problem.
I think we need to be honest there. Okay, so that was a little surprising. How about Purdue? They had scored 34 points in the last 3 games combined. And so what do they do against Minnesota? They score 49.
That team is so unpredictable. Like, you just really don't know what you're going to get from them, especially offensively. Yeah. But it must have been a cathartic win, I think, with what they've been going through the last couple of weeks. Pass, run. They were moving the ball well both ways. Weren't making the mistakes that have cost them in a lot of their losses. Like, they're fighting really hard too. For a 2-7 team entering that game, they played really well and they did not give up on the season.
The type of numbers that Card is putting up, this is kind of what they were expecting to happen for the entire year. And that Maccabee would be a big part of the run game, so they would be tough to defend, run past. You wouldn't know what you were getting from them. But I think their issues have been so many trying to adapt to systems defensively on the defensive side that it's made things very difficult. But this is, you've got to be excited about where you're a Purdue fan, what this offense and team has been able to do, and the fact that they're still fighting as hard as they are.
I'm with you. This is kind of what we looked at. We saw him, and we've talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
We saw him in camp, and man, he had an unbelievable day. This is what you kind of thought that this could be.
Yeah.
Ended a 4-game skid, as you said, still fighting. You think about their 2 conference wins. They annihilated Illinois and annihilated Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
Kind of out of nowhere. So the potential is certainly there when they play their best to be a very good team.